Welcome to Boilers Extra. I'm Nathan Baird from Indy Star.
Sam King from the Journal and Courier. I guess it says here at the bottom. We don't have to tell them.
Well, they don't know. Like, maybe we have first-time viewers. They don't know which one is me and which one is you. So how they do. Because that doesn't always line up, although it should. Purdue beats Minnesota 85-57. That was I thought a very unsettling into the first half, and then like the most impressive basketball that they played, certainly since the Texas Tech game, maybe all season. I don't think Minnesota is all that good, and they were making Minnesota look better than they were maybe at times in that first half. And then a 21-0 run, 29-2 is what it eventually extended out to start the second half, was that was really the response that they needed to Iowa State. And I think there was an opportunity to do it earlier in the game, and it didn't quite come together, and it came together in an emphatic way to start the second half.
Yeah, it felt like over the course of two halves, Purdue showed why it's a national title contender after showing why it is vulnerable to being beaten. I think 32 possessions in the first half, and Minnesota got 15 layup opportunities. Back cut after back cut, blown defensive assignments, a lot of easy looks for the Gophers. And despite the fact that I thought Purdue outplayed Minnesota, it was 35-32 at halftime. And you're thinking like, well, Purdue better come out and step on it in the second half. And I even posted on X as it was happening. I was like, okay, Purdue got it back to double digits. Now you got to step on Minnesota's throat, and that's exactly what happened. And Minnesota was just kind of at Purdue's mercy there for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, a few things to talk about. We're not going to go real deep tonight because honestly, this was like such a pummeling, and we're coming back with the Boilers Extra. We hope tomorrow to talk actually more football in that one, but just a few things to get into. I think, like, I thought this team needed an answer in terms of composure, in terms of veteran leadership, as much as it needed to answer with a win. I think the win, I wouldn't say it's a foregone conclusion. Again, they're only up by 3 at halftime, but I just think they're a lot better than Minnesota. This shouldn't be a game that they would really be in danger of losing by any score. And they needed, though, like that thing that wasn't there in the second half against Iowa State. And I think Braden Smith was essential to that, and it didn't really come together in that game. I thought the way he played tonight was a catalyst on both ends of the floor. And I keep going back to something Matt Painter said to me before the start of the year, was that, hey, our guys who play all the time have to be great defensive players, or we're not going to be a very good defensive team. And tonight he has 5 steals, 4 in the first half. I think they scored directly off of 3 of the 5 steals. They
2 blocks as well.
And a couple blocks as well. I mean, the stat line got filled up. Purdue is saying that it's the best stat line of this kind in the last 20 years because he got the 12th assist. It's 15 points, 12 assists, 6 rebounds, 5 steals, 2 blocks. 2 blocks. There was actually another stat line. I'll have to find it here real quick. Guy from Marquette. Have it up. Jarrell McNeil in 2009. This is an insane game. 26 points, 11 assists, 6 rebounds, 5 steals, and 3 blocks. So, but because they say Smith's is the best. But still, just on a night where he actually also became the first Big Ten player to ever have, 1,500 points, 800 assists, and 600 rebounds, I think. The first Big Ten player to ever do that, all-around stat line, and was just crucial in an all-around way. Like, what he was doing defensively was a spark. Yes, there was a lull at the end of the first half, but the other 36 minutes of this game, Purdue was really controlling the game defensively. And then in that 29-2 run to start the second half, he had 7.
And you mentioned leadership. You can say all the things you want, but you have to go out and physically show it. And when the best player on the team, he's diving for loose balls at midcourt, dove for one that he didn't even get. He had a steal behind his back, which is just wild. He deflected a pass and knocked it out of bounds, and I don't even think he saw it. It was instinctual. Maybe he defensive back read the the guy who was going to catch the pass's eyes and just stuck a hand out there. But it was pretty masterful. And even at halftime, I think in the plus minus, he was -1, and you're like, that is the best guy on the floor. How is that even possible?
Yeah.
Which probably is more telling of some of the guys who were on the floor with him during certain sports. But to have your best player play like that, and then I think that carried over to the second half where the team collectively was just much better, more assignment sound defensively, and buried a team that it should, quite frankly, beat by the score that it did.
We didn't get to talk to Braden Smith about all of this because if you might remember, the second defensive possession of the game, Oscar Cluff just absolutely checked one of Minnesota's players into the boards like it was a hockey. Well, it wasn't into the boards, just right out here in front of us.
Not hockey.
The Jane Crocker Johnson. Yeah, I think that was a rugby move. Like, there wasn't one of those ones where I think anybody in this arena was like, hey, come on, what call is that? Like, he just chucked the guy. And then when he did, Braden Smith tripped over him, and he used his left arm to, like, brace himself as he fell. And so he was going to get that hand checked after the game. You could tell immediately after that he was bothered by it. I think it contributed to that one that he almost sailed into the paint crew looking for Daniel Jacobson under the basket. But it didn't affect his performance. I mean, in any other way. I mean, this was an all-around, like, catalytic performance. A night where they needed someone to step up and hit shots, he's just pulling up and hitting shots. A night where they needed the offense, and there was, I thought this game could have really gotten away early on in Purdue's favor, but for whatever reason, they were determined to just take a bunch of jump shots. I guess that's maybe what mid-range jump shots, and maybe that's what Minnesota was giving them, I suppose. But I think that a team talented as Purdue has to find a way to kind of impose its will instead of just settling for a lot of mid-range. CJ Cox made one on the first possession of the game, and I think they were like 3 for 13 on him the rest of the first half. And when they got the ball inside, finally, they started getting things going. And that was what really got them going, I thought, in the second half, too. The first 3 possessions of the second half were Smith passed to Kaufman-Renn, didn't get an assist for it, but they get a basket off that. He gets an assist on a basket to Cluff, and then Smith hits a 3. So you get the inside guys going, then he just pulls up and hits a 3, and now Minnesota, I think, doesn't know what's coming and going, and things just start to roll downhill.
Yeah, I really thought that's where had an edge in this game. Minnesota, if you watch the game, likes to play kind of a 5-out offense, and was just outmatched size-wise, as most teams probably are when they play Purdue, with the 3 guys, with Jacobson, with Cluff, and with Trey Kaufman-Renn. The skill set that Trey Kaufman-Renn has at a 4, with having a whole year of experience at the 5, you kind of at their mercy sometimes, and that's what Minnesota coach Nico Medved said when I asked about trying to stop that trio of trees. He said they wore us down, and he was talking about the team wearing down before that just because of a lack of depth on his roster. But really, like that inside, it became kind of bully ball. Just throw it inside, let Trey Kaufman-Renn be physical, let Oscar Cluff be physical, and then you have the lob option over the top when Daniel Jacobson's in the game, which Purdue exploited multiple times. And then, that second half, that's why Purdue was ranked number 1. But consistency's got to be something that this team has moving forward.
I mean, there was some absolute child's play going on in the second half with Smith and Jacobson on those lob dunks. I felt a little bit bad for Minnesota at some point, just because they're not built to match up with what Jacobson can be around the basket. Like, they just don't have a lot of height right now. They have some guys that are out that contributes to that disparity. But especially on a night where then Minnesota would go long stretches and not be able to make a basket, a 46-23 rebounding edge, 14 offensive rebounds, 16-6 edge on the second chance points. Like, this is what the script is kind of supposed to look like for Purdue. You shoot 42. This is what it's kind of supposed to look like. I do still, and Matt Painter is like such a pragmatic guy that, you're coming in after the game and like, it's not like he's saying this isn't good. Like, this is good. Like, they came out and just flattened a conference opponent, which is not an easy thing to do. But he's still waiting for the night where they don't shoot 42% from 3 and a team is giving Braden Smith more problems. What do they do at the other end of the floor that fixes that? He was not happy with how this team played defensively in some ways in the first half. Minnesota was executing some things well, but I think he's still waiting to see the sign that this team can be what it needs to be defensively.
Yeah, and there are going to be, and we talked about this the other day, there are going to be performances where Purdue shoots much like it did against Iowa State on Saturday, and in games where that happens, your defense has to carry you, and you have to create offense through strong defensive play, and Purdue did not get that. Now, Iowa State is an extremely good offensive team, which contributed to that probably somewhat, but I felt like Purdue had to be a much better defensive team tonight. That's what I was wanting to see. And then through a half, I was like, well, giving up 15 layups to Minnesota probably was not what you were looking for at halftime. But the second half, you walk out of here feeling much different. And now the way I kind of phrased it was you kind of get the best of both worlds, because now you have a handful of highlights that you can say, look what happens. We're not defensive, speaking in terms of Matt Painter, not defensive assignment sound. We give up a lot of open layups and easy buckets. And then in the second half, here's what happens when Purdue is, and the team can't throw the ball in the ocean.
Yeah, to me, things like this team's depth and its versatility, those things enhance its championship potential. But they are not the bulk of its championship identity. That is the stars of this team. It's Braden Smith, Trey Kaufman-Renn, Fletcher Lawyer. You're starting to see like Oscar Cluff be a more central part of that. Those are the guys that are the reason why people were voting them number one, why the performance was what it was, and what is those guys. And I really put it more on the first three than Cluff still at this point. And I was even asking Cluff after the game, because he is still so new. He has talked many times, and so has Omer Meyer, about kind of being deferential to these guys who've been here for 4 and 5 years, and everything they've done, everything they've accomplished, and how it is primarily their team, that they have the most ownership of this. And what have the last few days been like? What had he seen from those guys? And he said that you definitely felt the veteran leadership of those guys saying that, don't let that loss be more than that loss. We're not that. We can do better than that. We will do better than that. And they just needed to come out and do it. But again, that's where I think it kind of comes back to the other thing he said was, and Trey Kaufman-Renn said this to some extent too, but that, Braden Smith went out and said, this is how it has to be. This is how you have to play. You have to play this hard. You have to be this locked in. You have to be this aggressive. You can't let a team put us back on our heels like Iowa State did the other night. And Cluff was giving Smith the credit for being the one that kind of came out and led the team with his actions.
Now Purdue gets a little bit of a layoff, or time off. Next game is next Saturday.
No, next game is this coming Saturday.
This coming Saturday, sorry.
Marquette. Then they take a week off.
Then you take a week off. But you get to the stretch of the schedule now where you've got some built-in time to rest. Obviously, it's winter break here coming up, so the schedule gets a little funky here. But then after that, it's a gauntlet of Big Ten for the rest of the season. So I think this kind of always is a pivotal stretch of the year where the players go through finals. You try to get through here unscathed, then you play a bye game before the new year, and then you jump right into it.
Yeah, these next two games are kind of interesting. Marquette's been not as great this year as they have been in some recent years, but it's still a really well-coached team. We saw what Marquette did to Purdue up in Milwaukee last year. I don't think anybody takes a Shaka Smart coached team for granted against Purdue. That has never worked out well for them.
He beat him at Texas, beat Purdue when he was at VCU,
yeah.
At Marquette.
Yeah. He was Chris. He ran so he walked so Chris Beard could run, or something like that. And then Auburn after that. Now they've had some things, some ups and downs, I guess you would say, in the off season with coaching change and everything. But still, I think just a dangerous group of athletes that has been compiled on there. So I think it is an interesting couple of weeks as this team now is 2-0 in Big Ten play and gets to kind of reset things, and then go into January with a trip to Wisconsin to restart Big Ten play in earnest. So that's it for Boilers Extra tonight, but we will be coming back relatively soon, perhaps tomorrow, perhaps Friday. We'll see how the schedule works out. But we want to talk about the football offseason. Like, what is already happening with this roster, what needs to still happen with this roster, how that might happen with this roster. Just several topics that we wanted to delve into that we think are kind of give some interesting perspective to what's going to happen in the next month. So thanks for joining us. We will talk to you again soon.